Because if there's one thing we all have learned from Jurassic Park, it's that playing God is always a good idea. Especially when you're playing God with Godzilla. Idiots. Godzilla vs. Biollante starts off with a montage of Godzilla's rampage through Tokyo from The Return of Godzilla, played to the Godzilla theme. Then cuts to rescue workers going through the wreckage of Tokyo, and a team of researchers grab Godzilla's skin fragments and takes them off to a company called Biollante. A scientist who used to work for this company has gotten his hands on these cells. At this time, he's doing research on the psychic energy of roses. So he combines Godzilla cells with rose cells and the cells of his dead daughter. I'll let that sink in for a second. Then a group of terrorists demand that this formula, called the anti-nuclear bacteria formula, be handed over, or else they will release Godzilla from Mount Mahara, where he was imprisoned in the last movie. And so, as you'd imagine, things don't work out well. Godzilla is released back into the world, and the plant that the scientist is working on turns into the monster Biollante, and the two of them clash. So the plot for this movie is a bit convoluted on the human side. I mean, there are some parts that kind of make me scratch my head at points. And it's interesting to note, and I'm not putting blame on this guy, but the idea of the movie actually came from a contest. Toho was holding a contest to write the story for the next Godzilla movie, and the winner ended up being a dentist and occasional science fiction writer, Shinichiro Kobayashi. And then the director took the story, turned it into a screenplay, and made this movie. So it's a little bit interesting. Although, again, the story is a bit convoluted from the human side. The music, I should address this, is very disorganized. I mean, it's not a bad score at all, it's just, it goes between rearranged Ifukube scores, rock music, or music that you would hear more out of a ballet than a Godzilla movie. Again, it's not bad. I mean, it's not like that goofy music from Godzilla vs. Hedorah and Godzilla vs. Megalon, but still kind of out of place for a Godzilla movie, especially one where Godzilla is now the bad guy again. However, this movie does do more good than bad. The fight scenes are really well done, even though Biollante, as cool of a monster she is kind of weak. I mean, if you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. Special effects for miniatures and guys in rubber suits are still good, and the Super X2 is a neat follow-up to the Super X. It's more mobile, it's remote controlled, so that way, if it gets destroyed, the only thing the Japanese lose are millions of yens. Is that right? Yens? Or is it just yen? I don't know. This movie also brought in the Godzilla design that I grew up with, or am the most familiar with, sometimes dubbed Godzilla 90s, even though this movie came out in 1989. It also introduced a character who would end up being the glue for the entire Heisei Godzilla series. Miki, played by Megumi Odaka, who is basically a young sidekick who, for some reason, I don't remember if they ever explained it in this movie, she's linked with Godzilla mentally and can detect where he is. So personally, I see this movie as kinda underrated. I mean, it's definitely it's definitely one of the weakest of the second Godzilla series, but I mean, apparently it was good enough for me to get the movie on Blu-ray, so it must be something that I like. But I mean, the movie wasn't a financial success in Japan, unfortunately, but you know, it's been about 20 plus years since this movie came out, and at this point money doesn't matter. I mean, I think it's good. For me, it's worth seeing. For you, it might be good, but not great. I mean, there are some weird moments of dialogue. The acting from the actors who aren't Japanese is pretty shitty. But, I mean, you won't get mad at it. It's not disappointing. That's my review for Godzilla vs. Biollante. The financial failure of this movie would lead Toho to revive one of Godzilla's most famous enemies. So that's for tomorrow's review. Until then, I will see you guys later. Bye.